From the start, the Space Force had detractors. Air Force officials wondered if it was necessary, while some political observers believed that it signified the start of a dangerous and expensive militarization of another realm. What seemed harder to argue against was how nearly every aspect of modern warfare and defense, intelligence, surveillance, communications, operations, missile detection, has come to rely on links to orbiting satellites. Imagine a high-tech space explorer named the Boeing X-37, or as its pals call it, the Orbital Test Vehicle, OTV. This snazzy robotic spacecraft gets a boost into space thanks to a trusty launch vehicle. But here's the cool part. After its space adventures, it doesn't just fade away. Nope, the X-37 re-enters Earth's atmosphere with flair and lands like a boss, playing the role of a spaceplane. Now, this space maverick isn't on a solo mission. It's part of a dynamic duo with the Department of the Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office taking the lead and teaming up with the United States Space Force. Their goal? To show off some nifty reusable space technologies through orbital spaceflight missions. The X-37 is like a bigger, bolder cousin of the earlier Boeing X-40, scaled up by a whopping 120%. It all began as a NASA dream in 1999 before getting a transfer to the United States Department of Defense in 2004. Back then, the Air Force Space Command was the brains behind the operation until 2019. Now let's dive into its journey through the cosmos. The X-37 had its first taste of flight during a drop test in 2006, showing off its skills. Its grand entrance to orbital missions happened in April 2010, hitching a ride on an Atlas V rocket. Fast forward to the fifth mission, which lasted a whopping 780 days in orbit. A record breaker launched on a Falcon 9 rocket. The latest space escapade, the sixth mission, kicked off in May 2020 and wrapped up in November 2022, totaling an impressive 908 days in orbit. Hold on to your astronaut helmets because the adventure doesn't stop there. Mission 7 already geared up for liftoff a few days ago, on December 10, 2023, riding the powerful Falcon Heavy rocket. The X-37 is like a cosmic superhero, soaring through the stars and leaving us in awe of its interstellar feats. It's the late 90s, and NASA has this grand vision for an orbital vehicle. Who do they turn to? Boeing Integrated Defense Systems gets the nod to bring this cosmic dream to life. The California branch of Boeing's Phantom Works rolls up its sleeves and over 4 years pours a cool $192 million into the project. NASA chips in $109 million, the U.S. Air Force adds $16 million, and Boeing throws down $67 million. That's some serious teamwork. In 2002, the plot thickens. NASA awards Boeing an even bigger contract, a whopping $301 million, as part of the Space Launch Initiative framework. Now the stage is set for the X-37's journey into the unknown. The X-37 isn't just another spacecraft. It's got style inspired by the larger Space Shuttle orbiter. Think of it like a cosmic cousin, sharing a similar aerodynamic design. This means it can slice through the cosmos with a lift-to-drag ratio that's a nod to the Space Shuttle's legacy. But here's the catch. At higher altitudes and Mach numbers, its cross range is a bit lower compared to DARPA's hypersonic technology vehicle. It's a cosmic balancing act. Back in the early days, the X-37 had dreams of being a cosmic handyman. Imagine rendezvousing with satellites and fixing them up. That was the plan. Originally, it was supposed to hitch a ride on the space shuttle, but plans shifted when it turned out that a shuttle flight would be a bit too pricey. So, the X-37 got a redesign ticket, opting for a launch on a Delta IV or a similar rocket. In 2004, the X-37 takes a detour from NASA to the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. That's when the curtains drop, and the project becomes hush-hush, a classified mission. DARPA plays it up as part of a space strategy post the 1986 Challenger disaster, adding an air of mystery to this interstellar tale. Alright, let's dive into the X-37A's early days, back when it was more like a glider testing the waters of the Earth's atmosphere. Picture this, no fancy propulsion system, just pure gliding vibes. Instead of payload bay doors like its spacebound siblings, it sported a sturdy upper structure, all set for a cozy connection with its mothership. In September 2004, DARPA spilled the beans. The X-37A was prepped for its atmospheric drop tests, and the launch plan, cue the scaled composites White Knight, a high-flying research aircraft. Fast forward to June 21, 2005. The X-37A spread its wings for a captive carry flight beneath the White Knight, taking off from the Mojave Spaceport in sunny California. Now, every space journey has its share of hiccups. In the latter part of 2005, the X-37A went under the wrench for some upgrades, especially in the nosewheel support department. The big day for its first free flight was penciled in for March 10, 2006. But guess what? An Arctic storm crashed the party. Attempt number 2 on March 15? Nope, high winds stole the show. But patience pays off. On April 7, 2006, the X-37A finally tasted the sweet freedom of a glide flight. Landing, however, was a bit adventurous. It overshot the runway, earning a few battle scars but nothing major. After some R&R for repairs, the X-37A packed its bags and shifted its base from Mojave to Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, to continue its flight test program. The White Knight, its trusty sidekick, stayed put in Mojave but hitched a ride to Plant 42 when test flights were on the agenda. 5 more flights followed, with 2 of them featuring the X-37A taking a leap into the unknown and making stellar landings. It was showtime on August 18, 2006, and again on September 26, 2006. The X-37A was officially spreading its wings and soaring through the skies. Cue the space evolution. On November 17, 2006, the U.S. Air Force threw its hat into the ring, deciding to spin its own version of NASA's X-37A, and voila, the X-37B orbital test vehicle was born. This high-flying endeavor was more than just a solo act. It stood on the shoulders of previous teamwork by DARPA, NASA, and the Air Force. Boeing took center stage as the chief architect of the OTV program. The X-37B was no ordinary space traveler. It was designed to be a space sentinel, camping out in orbit for an impressive 270 days at a stretch. The bigwig in charge of the Air Force spilled the beans, stating that the OTV program aimed to tackle risk reduction, experimentation, and operational concept development for reusable space vehicle technologies, all in support of long-term space dreams. Originally, the plan was for the X-37B to hitch a ride on the Space Shuttle, but after the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, it changed lanes to hop onto a Delta II. Concerns about aerodynamics during launch led to a wardrobe change, and the X-37B strutted its stuff on an Atlas V rocket with a snazzy shroud. After their celestial escapades, the X-37B spacecraft had their grand finale on a runway at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, with Edwards Air Force Base as the backup plan. In 2010, excitement buzzed as work began on the second X-37B, making its maiden voyage in March 2011. Fast forward to Kennedy Space Center. The X-37B found its earthly abode in hangars once occupied by the Space Shuttle. NASA spilled the beans, saying these space planes would call the Kennedy Space Center home. Why the move? Well, it brought them closer to the Cape Canaveral launch site. Renovations wrapped up by the end of 2014, marking the hangars as the official home of the X-37B. Now here's the catch. Most of the X-37B's exploits are shrouded in secrecy. The Air Force keeps it hush-hush, calling it an experimental test program to flex technologies for a reliable, reusable, uncrewed space test platform. The STAR goals? Testing avionics, flight systems, guidance and navigation, thermal protection, insulation, propulsion, and re-entry systems. It's like the X-37B is on a space quest, leaving us mere mortals intrigued by its interstellar endeavors. The X-37 orbital test vehicle is a nifty, reusable robotic spaceplane. It's like a sleek, scaled-up cousin of the Boeing X-40, stretching over 29 feet and flaunting 2 cool tail fins. When it's time for liftoff, this space marvel hops onto an Atlas V or a SpaceX Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy rocket, ready to surf the skies. The X-37 is more than just a pretty face. It's a playground for cutting-edge technologies. Check out its improved thermal protection system, fancy avionics, autonomous guidance system, and a futuristic airframe. Think of it like a space pioneer, paving the way for the next-gen space travel. Speaking of thermal protection, the X-37 rocks a system built on the shoulders of previous atmospheric re-entry spacecraft, with snazzy silica ceramic tiles keeping it cool. And get this, its avionics suite played a role in the development of Boeing's CST-100 crewed spacecraft, showing off its influence. Here's a fun fact. The X-37 was born not just for its glory, but to lend a helping hand. NASA had big dreams for it, hoping it would assist in designing the orbital spaceplane for crew rescue and transport to and from the International Space Station. Now let's talk engines. Originally, NASA's X-37 was set to be powered by an Aerojet AR-23 engine, a trusty workhorse with storable propellants. But wait, the plot thickens. The engine lineup reportedly shifted to a hypergolic hydrazine system. It's like the X-37 got an engine makeover for its journey. When it's time to wrap up the interstellar adventure, the X-37 doesn't need a pilot. It's got automatic landing skills. This makes it the third in line, following the Soviet Buran shuttle and the US Space Shuttle, to pull off this cool trick. And here's a tidbit. It's the smallest and lightest orbital spaceplane to grace the cosmos, clocking in at around 11,000 pounds and only a quarter of the size of the iconic Space Shuttle orbiter. The cosmic cherry on top? The X-37 bagged the 2015 Space Achievement Award from the Space Foundation, recognizing its stellar role in advancing reusable spacecraft and on-orbit operations during its space escapades, totaling 1,367 days. Now that's what we call an out-of-this-world accomplishment. Thanks for watching the video. And if you found it informative, please like and subscribe to Blueprint Journeys for similar content. We look forward to sharing more knowledge with you in the future. Until then, take care.